Hey everyone, Emma AI from Cyberbrief here, and today we're going to talk about one of the coolest features in network security, VLANs or virtual LANs. Trust me, understanding VLANs will change how you see network management. So let's jump right in. First off, what's a VLAN? Think of a VLAN as a way to create separate little networks within your main network. It's like having different rooms in your house where each room has its own set of rules. VLANs let you group devices together logically, even if they're not physically close to each other, making network management a breeze. Now, how does this work? Well, imagine your network switch is like a big city with lots of streets. Each port on the switch can be considered a house on one of those streets. With VLANs, you can group certain houses into neighborhoods where each neighborhood represents a different network segment. This is done by assigning VLAN tags. These tags are like neighborhood signs that tell the switch, hey, this data belongs here, not there. When data moves through the switch, it's tagged with a VLAN ID, so the switch knows exactly where it should go. But here's the crucial part. VLANs create logical separation, not physical. Physical separation, like having different cables or separate switches, is super secure because it's hard to bypass. Logical separation, though, depends on software, which can have bugs or be misconfigured. However, don't let that scare you away from using VLANs. They're still incredibly useful for network segmentation. Why should you care about VLANs? Well, they help manage your network more efficiently. For example, in an office setting, you might have one VLAN for all the VoIP phones, another for the servers, and yet another for the desktop computers or client systems. This setup means you can manage these groups separately, which is like organizing your files into different folders on your computer. Each VLAN acts like its own network, with its own set of IP addresses. Let's say your VoIP phones are on the 10, 5.100, X network, servers on 10, 6.100, X. This makes it easier to know exactly where your devices are and what they're doing. But here's where it gets interesting for security. Using VLANs alone doesn't make your network secure. They're more about management than security. Without an access control list, ACL, which acts like a bouncer at a club deciding who gets in and out, VLANs don't restrict traffic between these segments. An ACL can set rules to control what can communicate with what, adding a layer of security to your VLANs. Let's dive into why this management aspect is so important. Imagine if every device on your network could talk to every other device freely. Your network would be a mess, and managing it would be like trying to herd cats. VLANs help by grouping similar devices, making it simpler to apply settings or updates to specific groups without affecting the whole network. But remember, without those ACLs, while your management gets easier, your security doesn't automatically get better. An attacker could still move from one VLAN to another if there's no control in place. Now let's talk about how you can use VLANs to enhance security. By default, a VLAN doesn't stop someone from jumping from one segment to another if they find a way. But by using ACLs, you can define who can talk to whom, kind of like setting up a firewall within your network. For instance, you might want your servers to communicate with the VoIP phones for some reason, but not with the guest Wi-Fi VLAN. Here, you'd use an ACL to block that communication path. This way, even if someone hacks into your guest network, they can't just hop over to your critical servers. Another cool thing about VLANs is how they can help with network performance. By isolating traffic to specific segments, you can prevent a flood of data from one part of the network from slowing down the rest. Imagine during a big video conference, the network traffic from all those cameras doesn't bog down your file transfer servers. Now let's discuss some practical applications. In a school, you might have one VLAN for the teachers, one for the students, and another for administrative systems. This setup ensures that student devices can't access the sensitive administrative data, making the network not only easier to manage but also more secure if you pair it with ACLs. In a business environment, think about how you might use VLANs to protect your financial systems. You could isolate your HR database from the rest of the network, ensuring that only HR staff or finance personnel can access it. This reduces the risk of data leakage or unauthorized access. But there's more to VLANs than just security and management. They can also help with troubleshooting. If there's an issue like a virus spreading or a device causing network problems, you can isolate it to one VLAN without affecting the entire network. This containment strategy can save you a lot of headache and downtime. Let's not forget about scalability. As your organization grows, adding new devices or departments becomes a lot simpler with VLANs. You can create a new VLAN for a new department without redesigning your entire network infrastructure. It's like adding a new wing to your house without rebuilding the foundation. Now let's talk about some common pitfalls with VLANs. One big mistake is thinking VLANs alone provide security. They're a management tool first, and security comes with additional configurations like ACLs. Misconfiguring VLANs can lead to security breaches. For example, if you accidentally allow traffic between VLANs where it shouldn't be, you've created a vulnerability. Another issue is VLAN hopping, where attackers can trick switches into moving traffic from one VLAN to another. This can happen if your VLAN setup isn't tight or if there's a configuration error. To prevent this, ensure your VLAN tags are properly managed and your switches are configured to prevent unauthorized VLAN changes. Techniques like VLAN hopping can involve double tagging attacks, where an attacker crafts packets with two VLAN tags, one of which is removed by the first switch, allowing the packet to hop into an unauthorized VLAN. And let's touch on VLAN trunking. Trunking is like having a highway where multiple VLANs can travel. However, if not secured properly, these highways can be exploited. Make sure you're using VLAN trunking protocols like 802.1q with security features enabled to prevent unauthorized access. Trunking ports should be carefully managed, ensuring only necessary VLANs are trunked and that trunking protocols are not broadcasting VLAN information unnecessarily. But here's where it gets exciting. With the right tools and knowledge, you can turn VLANs into a powerhouse for network security. By combining VLANs with Network Access Control (NAC) systems, you can dynamically assign VLANs based on user identity, device type, or even the time of day. This is like having a smart security system for your network that adjusts based on who's coming in or what's happening. NAC can ensure that only devices that meet certain security criteria can join your network, enhancing the security of your VLAN setup. Another aspect is the use of VLANs in conjunction with quality of service (QoS) settings. You can prioritize traffic within VLANs to ensure that critical applications like VoIP get the bandwidth they need without being impacted by less critical traffic. This not only improves performance but also indirectly bolsters security by ensuring that important communications are not disrupted. Let's also discuss VLAN management. Managing VLANs involves more than just setting them up. It's about ongoing vigilance. You need to regularly audit your VLAN configurations to ensure they align with your current network policies and security requirements. Tools like network management software can help monitor VLAN performance, detect misconfigurations, or unauthorized changes. Moreover, when you're planning your VLAN strategy, consider how you'll handle inter-VLAN routing. If your network needs communication between VLANs, you'll need to implement inter-VLAN routing using a router or a Layer 3 switch. This introduces another layer of complexity where security must be considered, as it's a potential point of attack. Here, you can apply security policies at the routing level to control the flow of traffic between VLANs. Another aspect to consider is the use of private VLANs, PVLANs, for further isolation. PVLANs allow you to split a VLAN into sub-VLANs where some ports can only communicate with a specific port, the promiscuous port, which is typically connected to a router or firewall. This is particularly useful in environments like data centers where you want to isolate servers from each other but allow them to communicate with external networks through a single gateway. Now let's talk about how VLANs can intersect with other security measures. For example, integrating VLANs with an intrusion detection system (IDS) or intrusion prevention system (IPS) can help you monitor traffic within and between VLANs for suspicious activities. By setting up alerts for unusual patterns or known attack signatures within VLANs, you can respond to threats before they escalate. And don't forget about the importance of documentation. Keeping detailed records of your VLAN setup, including which ports are assigned to which VLANs, the IP address ranges, and the ACLs in place, is crucial. This documentation aids in troubleshooting, compliance checks, and when new team members or consultants need to understand your network structure. But remember, VLANs are not just for large organizations. Even small networks can benefit from VLANs. For instance, in a home network, you might want to isolate IoT devices from your personal computers to prevent potential malware from spreading. Here, you could set up one VLAN for smart devices and another for your PCs and phones. Now let's discuss the future of VLANs. With the rise of software-defined networking, (SDN), VLAN management is becoming even more dynamic. SDN allows for network programmability, where you can define network policies, including VLAN assignments via software. This can lead to more adaptive and responsive network security, where VLANs can be adjusted in real time based on network conditions or security events. But remember, no technology is a silver bullet. VLANs should be part of a comprehensive security strategy that includes physical security, encryption, regular updates, and user education. They're not a replacement for these other elements, but rather an enhancement. One practical example of VLANs in action is in the hospitality industry. Hotels often use VLANs to segregate guest internet access from their internal business systems. Guests can connect to the Wi-Fi, but they're confined to a guest VLAN with limited access, ensuring they can't inadvertently or maliciously access hotel management systems or other guests' information. For those of you who manage industrial control systems, ICS, VLANs can be a game changer. By segmenting your operational technology, OT, from your IT, you can protect critical infrastructure from cyber threats that might originate from the office network or even the internet. Here, VLANs help in creating an air gap between different parts of your network, reducing the attack surface. And speaking of threats, let's talk about how VLANs can be used to thwart them. For example, in the event of a ransomware attack, if your critical data and backup systems are on separate VLANs with strict ACLs, the spread of the ransomware can be contained, giving you time to respond without losing everything. Lastly, let's touch on education and training. It's not just about setting up VLANs, it's about ensuring everyone who touches the network understands them. Regular training sessions on network segmentation, including VLANs, can prevent misconfigurations that could lead to security issues. It also fosters a culture where security is everyone's responsibility, not just IT's. So, what's the takeaway? VLANs are an incredible tool for network management, but they need to be paired with security measures like ACLs to truly protect your network. They're not a set-it-and-forget-it solution. They require ongoing management and understanding of your network's needs. If you're loving this deep dive into network security, stick around. I've got more content coming that'll keep you on your toes. Whether you're a pro or just starting, we're in this together, making you an expert in cybersecurity, one episode at a time. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that bell for more cyber adventures. Until next time, keep learning, keep questioning, and stay secure, my friends.